Bintu Agne, good morning, good morning, good day wherever you are. Happy Thursday, Happy New Year, Happy 2021. Wow, what a week, what a first week for 2021. I wanted to come on here this morning to say it's a new day in every respect. It's a new year. And I'm grateful to be here with all of you. I wanted to talk today with a man that I know, that I admire, that I really like, who's been an incredible public servant for decades, former governor of Ohio, John Kasich, a Republican, to help us try to make some sense of what we all saw yesterday, what we all saw unfold, what we all took in, because it's going to be up to all of us to make sense of that and to move forward, perhaps in a different way. I think, not perhaps, I should rearrange that. I think for sure in a different way. So it was a very sobering day for me. I grew up in Washington. I grew up with a family in public service. To see the Capitol desecrated that way, to see what unfolded was stunning. And it's really been a soul-searching day yesterday, last night, and this morning. And how do we all use our voices moving forward? How do we use our voices in a positive way, in a responsible way, in a way to inform and inspire as opposed to incite? So I wanted to, I'm going to try to find John here. And see where he is. He's maybe not here quite yet. And that's okay, because so I'm waiting for John Kasich, former governor of Ohio, a former congressman, a really good man, a man who it says waiting. I think the country made a mistake. People are saying wake up call. Yes, definitely a wake up call to all of us. Those of us in the media, those of us who use our social platforms in the way that we do. How can we all learn something? How can we all take away something? How can we all behave differently after yesterday? And there's been a lot of news going since early this morning. Great to see you. Happy New Year to you too. It says still waiting for John Kasich. So I'm hoping that he is finding a way to come on. I'm happy to wait for him no matter how long it takes. John Kasich unable to join. Well, I know he's able to join. So we're going to find him again, and he's going to come on here and help us figure out what we should learn. I think the good news is that there's lessons here, as I said, for all of us. How do we use social media? How should the media itself adjust to what happened yesterday? What is the responsibilities that we all share? Maybe try again, it says. Yeah, maybe try again. I'm happy to try again. He has to request me. Good morning, I see here. Any interest in speaking about art and literacy? Yes, PT 35. My aunt, sister-in-law is a big advocate in art literacy and bringing the arts into schools all over our country with turnaround arts. And I'm a big believer in the arts in schools and how important that is for our mental health, our creative health, and our children. But really, no matter our age, I think we can all benefit from having art in our schools and in our lives. There's a lot of the media is key. I agree with that. And so what should the media be doing? That's a really good question. And the media is now social media as well. Mark Zuckerberg came out this morning and said that they're going to postpone President Trump's accounts indefinitely through the inauguration. And so that's his position. What is the position, I think, really of each of us? That's what I'm interested in. Joe says schools must teach students that this was not great. I think that's a given, I would hope. I think how do we all behave? I think parents have a role in this. Educators have a role in this. public servants have a role in this. So I'm trying to get my friend here, John Kasich. John, please try again. Please try to request to come on here again. People really want to hear from you. We want to hear about what we should learn, what we should take away, how we should use our voices this morning after. We see a lot of people resigning from this administration. Is that the right thing to do? There's a lot of talk this morning about invoking the 25th Amendment. Is that possible, or is that just distracting people? What should we be doing? How should we be moving forward? So that's really the question that I was hoping John Kasich could help us answer this morning. He is a commentator for CNN. So that's where he also uses his voice. He uses his voice also on Twitter. I try to use my voice on Twitter. I try to use my voice here on Instagram and on Facebook. I try to use it at NBC News when they let me. I think we all try to, I've always tried to use my voice to inform and inspire, but to also call out things that I think need to be called out. And that's what I tried to do yesterday, is call out the behavior of certain people who used their voices to incite, used their voices without any facts to substantiate what they were saying, and just thought that they could go about doing what they wanted to do without any repercussions. So I think that is something that should be called out. So I tried to call that out yesterday as I saw it fit, and I can't find John Kasich. So I don't know where he is, but I'm going to try to look at some of these questions that you have here. Any interest? Let's see, social media suspending his accounts now. He's been inciting lawlessness for some time. Tara71. Yes, they are suspending his accounts right now. So that's correct. Somebody else just said, good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year. And somebody tweeted yesterday, you know, to think that we were encouraged and hopeful about 2021. I certainly still am. I'm hopeful about this new year. I'm hopeful that people will get the vaccines. I'm hopeful that our country will take a turn. I'm hopeful that we will have a new tone in our country. I'm hopeful that we'll have a leader who speaks calmly, which I think we saw yesterday. I think I was very encouraged by President-elect Biden's words. This is not who we are. This is not the best of us, and we will get over this. What we're going to do, he's getting an error. So I think what we're going to do, unfortunately, is we're going to try to maybe go off. People here saying Trump encouraged the riot. Well, yeah, certainly that was the case, and that's why he had his account suspended. This morning, he said that he commits to an orderly transfer of power on January 20th, even though he disagrees with the outcome of the election, he said, and even though he said he thinks the facts bear him out, which of course they don't. So I think, once again, the media has a responsibility. Anybody on social media has a responsibility regarding what they share, what they say, how they use their voices. I put myself in that group as well. And so we all can do better. And I don't know where, send invites. I don't know. So John Kasich, I don't know where he is or what happened to him. Maybe somebody else talked to him. Let's see, go live with, let me try this myself. I've never done this. I send out the John Kasich. I send a request to him. Now I'm going to try it this way, waiting for John Kasich. Oh, it says connecting. There we are.
Finally. Oh, this is let me tell you, holding Maria Shriver up is like a nightmare. I'm sorry, Maria. I don't know what was going on here, but we kept making a request to come on, and somebody was probably hacking me. I don't know.
Good
I've been
morning.
listening to you, and Maria, you know, you and I have talked about this. In fact, you plugged that latest book I had, It's Up to Us, where I say that what we need to do is we need to be in a position of where we are becoming centers of, and you've written about this yourself in some of the books you've written, we need to become centers of integrity where we live. We need to make sure we drive change inside of our neighborhoods, because right now we're so divided. I think we need to find a common problem, whether it's the food bank doesn't have enough food, whether we need to do something for the environment, whether it's something for women who have been in this, you know, have been forced into the sex trade business, and what we do to help rehabilitate them once they're rescued, whether it's mentoring children. If we can get people focusing on something that we all agree is a problem where we live, then ideology becomes less important. We don't care about what party you're in or who did you vote for. And that helps to bring us together and cleave us together, you know, as opposed to where we are today.
Absolutely, John. But yesterday was kind of a seminal moment in our nation's history. I think everybody, and I would put people who even voted for President Trump into this bucket, people sat there watching what unfolded at the nation's capital yesterday in utter disbelief. And I know you said that yesterday you tweeted, this is a learning moment. This is a teachable moment. We all have to learn something from it. What did you learn from it yesterday?
Well, Maria, at one point last night, in talking to one of my former colleagues, Susan Molinari, and her husband, and in another time, I started to cry looking at the pictures. You know, I worked in that building for 18 years.
Yeah.
It's a special place for America. And these are things look, remember, 5 years ago, and I don't want to be an I told you so, but 5 years ago, I didn't go to the convention in my own state and never endorsed this guy. And I had the inklings that this was going to happen. What I learned from this is, when we see something that we don't like, if it makes us uncomfortable to take a stand against it, take a stand against it. Don't be afraid of being uncomfortable. And you know what I believe is that there were enablers that allowed this guy to get away with these things for the last 4 years. Yeah. I couldn't believe that no one stood up. We got to stand up when we see injustice.
But there's so many people in your party, and and you know, I'm not saying it's just Republicans, because I think we all have an issue here. I think this is a soul-searching moment for all of us. But so many Republicans enabled what happened yesterday. And what should be the repercussions for them? What should happen for them? We see some people resigning this morning, last night. President Trump has said this morning that he commits to an orderly transfer of power, even though he disagrees with the outcome. And he said, quote, "The facts bear me out." Social media, Mark Zuckerberg came out this morning and said they're going to suspend his account indefinitely through the inauguration. What should happen to those who, you know, were responsible in large part for yesterday? What should our takeaway on all of this be?
Well, I think what you're concerned about, and I'm concerned about, Maria, is there may not be any consequence. You know, that you got to start with the fact that the country's so divided. I guess there's some people beginning to make excuses and saying, oh, well, these were really not Trump people that were there. They were some other group of people, you know, who caused this. I think at the top, we've got to bring a healing to a degree that we're all Americans. And while we may debate, you know, ideas and all that, and that's encouraging to do, we've got to get off this personal stuff. And then for those that want to, you know, seek higher office, Maria, we just should just dismiss them and find those. I mean, that's what the Republican Party needs to do going forward. I mean, there's so much stuff the Republican Party needs to do going forward. But right. These people who were ringleaders in this, who were people who were enablers, you would hope that they would not be rewarded politically, and that somehow they would be held accountable for what they did politically.
So
I don't know if that's going to happen, to be honest with you.
So there are certainly people who can be held accountable politically. What do you think the role, if any, should be of the media, should be of all of us who use our platforms on social media? How should we, what should be our takeaway? How should we adjust our voices in the wake of this?
This is, Maria, we got to stop spreading things that we see. I mean, look, where is all of this? What is going on? Of integrity, where everything is just not about us, where it is about somebody else. It's about something bigger than ourselves. So there's so much of our country. Take the politics. It's, I need to appeal to my base. Take the traditional media. Okay, look at my ratings. I make more profits. Look at the social media. It's all about, okay, I've got eyeballs, so I got to put all that stuff up there, some of which is completely wacky, because I know it's going to get attention. I mean, we got to learn to control ourselves a little bit and not buy into all the salacious rumors or the innuendo or the trashing of other people. But there's always, there's always been a tendency, if the Boy Scout crosses the lady across the road, nobody ever says anything. But if he steals her handbag, then it's in the news. Yeah. It's a problem that we as human beings have, where we want to look on the side of the road when there's an accident. And maybe to some degree, we have to develop the discipline to realize that pulls all of us down, including ourselves. You're asking me to fix a social problem that has been growing over time. Now, I'm really going to make people mad when I say this. One other thing I want to tell you, I think, is we have more and more reduced the role of faith in our society. It's like we're not accountable to anything. I mean, one of the things about faith is it is about self-restraint. It's about the fact that there's a consequence to actions that are only about ourselves. And some in the faith community, endorsing politicians and all that, they've discredited faith. But, in the real sense, it's about how I want to be thought of by my family, my friends, and the way in which I want to be considered once I die. This faith element, I think, is really important. You've written about that too. Yeah. And we're not shoving our religious views down anybody's throat. It's just a recognition that being responsible to a higher power can restrain us and get us to do the things that we ought to be doing as human beings that we know we need to do. I'm sorry to preach.
You made me think of, somebody gave me several years ago a book called Ethical Wills. And it was a book about writing an ethical will to yourself and to your families about who you are and how you want to live your life, and to do it while you're alive, right? To write out what your goals are, what your standards are, what your boundaries are. And I think this is a moment, right, of soul searching for people who are in political office. I think it needs to be a soul searching moment for people in the media, not just on social media, but in the, quote, mainstream media. What are we doing? How are we inciting, as you said? How are we checking our sources? What is, like, when I started in journalism, they were like, we don't care about your opinion. You are not here to give your opinion. You are here to report the news down the middle, and that people will make up their own minds. We've gone way off of that in terms of the media.
Yeah, and anything even on regular television now, if I say radical things, I'm rewarded for it. I mean, it's crazy, Maria. And I wonder, when people go home at night and look in the mirror, do they think they're doing a great job because they got a rating point? And it also involves the business community, where you can't be giving your CEOs, these packages to leave, these golden parachutes, or we're not thinking enough about other people. We're just we're not doing that. So how do we get that back? And this didn't happen yesterday. This has been happening over time. Right. I've felt it, and I don't want to be a preacher because I'm a hypocrite too. And there's things I do that I'm not proud of myself about. but at least we need to stop and think about, you just said it. I love what you said about that will. How do I want to be viewed? Some of the greatest things that happen are when my daughters, you know, I took a lot of heat. And I also said a prayer last night that this wouldn't be about me, but I have to tell you, my daughter said to me last night, Daddy, you stood up for a long time and you took grief. I'm proud of you. Now, you can't pay me enough money to have my kids say that. So
Wow.
but I'm just saying that for all of us, we all matter. We're all important wherever we are. If we're at the bank and a little old lady comes in and she's fumbling around with her accounts, help her.
That used to be why people, you know, went into politics, right? To make people feel seen, to make people feel valued, to make people feel understood, to fight for people, regardless of what their political affiliation is. And I think certainly President-elect Biden yesterday, the way he came out in a very calm and measured way, the way he said, we're better than this. This is not who we are.
Yes.
We will move forward. That's the kind of thing that as a parent, you want to say that at your kitchen table, right? This is not who we are. And we all fall down. We all do things that we're not proud of. We all make mistakes, but we have to kind of step back and go, okay, well, who are we? Who do we want to be? And, you know, I thought that was really helpful. He was very measured. He was very calm. And he's certainly somebody who can work across the aisle. And a friend of mine who's a Republican yesterday said, you know, there is the Trump party, there is the Republican party, there are the Democratic party. So what do the Republicans like you or Mitt Romney, all of these Republicans who are called rhinos, right? What do you need to do to bring the Republican Party back to its roots, to make it stand for something that doesn't incite, that isn't...
You know, Maria, I've and maybe before we finish this, you ought to talk about Sergeant Shriver and what he did to dedicate his life. Or how about Special Olympics and think about Special Olympics, I mean, God, that's just incredible stuff. For me, you know, I get to work and speak out on CNN. Nobody tells me what to say. They give me plenty of time. And so I'm going to do my best there. But I find that there may be an opening for me to talk to young Republicans because they want a change. They want something to be done on the environment. They want something to be done involving police and community. They want something to be done on the wealth gap. I mean, these are young people who they can have a fresh start because the Republican Party is not going to attract these young people with just brand and anger and being again. So I've told a couple of my friends that if there's an appropriate time for me to talk to some of the young Republicans about the way that I think things ought to be done. And look, Maria, you know, Ohio's sort of changed because there's not a Democratic Party here, but at the time when I was running, particularly when I ran for re-election, you know, I carried almost every county in the state. And why was that? I was concerned about the environment. I was in a position, I said, if you're going to cut taxes for people on the top, you got to create the earned income tax credit for people who are making less money. We have to be concerned about what we do with justice reform. We have to be concerned about police and community and work with Democrats to try to do that. That is a way to get things done. Leave no one behind. I expanded Medicaid because it allowed people who were either in jail or sleeping under a bridge to be able to get health care and to get the treatment they needed. Somehow, and I balanced budgets and ran surpluses and cut taxes. So I want to try to get to these young people to say, this is at least what I saw work. These are the ideas that I think should go forward. It's not an abandonment of conservatism. It's just a different way of thinking about it and reforming it. So going to some Republican Party event right now, I don't think they'd let me in the door even if I wanted to make a financial contribution. But that'll change. You know, the winds of change. You know, that great song, When the Wall Fell Down. And I'm going to do my best to put ideas out there, and I've said enough.
Well, I think that's beautiful. I think this is individual moment and also simultaneously a collective moment. And you're going to use your voice on CNN, but you're going to use your voice locally. You use your voice in your own home, right? And you use
Yes.
your voice to talk about, there's a lot of people who are Republicans who are like you, right? Who want to have the party that they signed up for 20 years ago, 30 years ago, stand for something that they can be proud of. There are Democrats like that. I'm an independent. I think, the kind of common ground has to be our way forward. That's what also President-elect Biden talked about yesterday, common ground, common problems, common solutions. Who are we in our hearts, in our souls, right? What kind of families are we raising up? Do we care for people as they age, right? Do we care for people when they're young? Who are we at our basic core? Maybe that's what will come out of yesterday. Maybe we'll all think about how we're behaving on social media. Maybe mainstream media will take a step back and look at their own role in this. Maybe each political party, instead of pointing the finger at the other, might look within, because it always has to happen when you look within, right?
Maria, I think that the regular traditional media they need to come together and figure out the rules of the road.
I agree.
They need to figure out what goes and what doesn't go, and think about our country. Would you just say a word about how Special Olympics started? Because this kind of gets to the point I'm trying to make, which is, what do they say? Act locally, think globally.
Yes.
I don't want us to escape the idea that where we, look, who would we miss more if they went on vacation? The Secretary of State or our trash man? So,
right, that's
talk
right.
just
All
a bit
politicians.
about Special Olympics, one woman's idea, right? Would you say a word about it, please?
Well, that's how we actually met, because you were a friend of Mummy's. And Mummy started Special Olympics in our backyard, and it came out of her desire, or out of what she witnessed, that her sister, who was intellectually disabled, had nowhere to play. There was no camp for her. So she saw her own mother struggle to find a community for their daughter. So she started one in her backyard and grew it person by person. And she grew it on the basis of volunteerism. As she always told me, this would not survive, this could not grow unless people volunteered. And that was really, and is still, the strength, the foundation of Special Olympics. No one was ever asked what their political party was or is. And it spread all over the world because people want to help out. They want to make a difference. They want to be seen, whether they're a volunteer, right? Whether they're a coach, whether they're a parent, a sibling. And it's really a microcosm of what we could all be. We could all just step up. I don't think I ever met anybody, and my mother made me go to every Special Olympics event in every state in the country, and pretty much in, I don't know how many countries or every state, around the world. I never asked anybody what their political party was. And both of my parents filled our home with Republicans, with Democrats, never asking, their political party, but who they were. What did they want to do with their voice? Why were they in office? Why were they at Special Olympics? That was always the question. What do you want to do? It's like Mary Oliver's question. What do you want to do with your one wild and precious life? That's really the question I think we should all be asking ourselves today.
Exactly.
What do we want to do with our one wild and precious life? What do we want to do with our one voice? And how do we want to be remembered, as you said? And I think that this is a moment, I'm hopeful that yesterday was so stunning, so disappointing, so upsetting, that we all take a step back. And that you have a big platform on CNN.
It's, Maria, we talk about this Greta Thunberg, right, and what she's done. I mean, here's a girl with some challenges, who was willing to shake everything and just stood outside of the parliament with a sign that said, "Care about my earth." And she was just a young girl, just holding up a sign, and she created a global reform movement that, so I'm just trying to say that instead of worrying about what this politician's going to do, we should keep it in mind what they've done. Instead of just, I don't have straight party. Well, it's clear I don't have straight party line votes. I spoke at the Democratic convention.
Yeah.
When people try to argue, if they argue so much that they're not going to listen, I just don't argue with them because there's no point. If there's somebody that says, okay, I have this point of view, as my wife says to me, you don't have to win every argument, John. That's my resolution for 2021. I've already failed on it, Maria. But if we can have peace, it will spread up to where these politicians are. I mean, I believe it. And I think it is a wake-up call yesterday. Let's see if it lasts, because these things have a tendency to be here today, and then they're gone tomorrow.
Well, I think if we all keep coming back to ourselves, keep coming back to our own voices and our own responsibility, maybe it will last. And maybe we'll have an example in Washington that we can emulate, that we can look to. I grew up at a time when things were where there was social unrest. You looked to the president, you looked to the first lady, you looked leaders, to people in office to lead you forward, to show you how to talk, how to behave. You looked there. Now perhaps we need to look to ourselves. How should I be speaking today? What should my tone be? How should I be moving forward? And so I think it's really a very individual moment, as I said at the beginning, and a collective moment. And I think it's a moment for those of us who are independents, Democrats, Republicans, to stop pointing the finger and think about how we can do better. How can each and every one of us do better? And so I want to thank you, John.
You do hit on something that is important, and that is the leaders that we have, and they have to understand their responsibility. They were made leaders because they were given a gift, and they have to be responsible leaders. There's nothing wrong with somebody watching this to walk in and say to their boss, I'd like a little, something constructive, like, could you just be, a little bit more aware of this or that? I remember I was about 19 or 20 years old, and I was working in a job, and the people didn't like the boss. I remember I walked into his office and I said, sir, in the at the ticket counter, why didn't they say, what you're doing is wrong? And my wife said, well, they could lose their job. And I said, well, maybe they could. And maybe once in a while, that's how you become a hero. I'm not telling the people go out and lose their jobs, but in the face of something that is truly unjust, either you do it or find somebody who's made a little different than you to confront it, to just say this has to stop. Some man harassing a woman in the workplace, right? Or somebody that gives themselves raises without thinking about anybody else. But we just have to think about these things and do what we can. I mean, this might sound small, but there's no small things in life. There's nothing good is ever lost. Nothing good is ever lost.
I love that. I think it's such a beautiful way to start this day and end our conversation, which is about our own personal responsibility and about the power of kindness, the power of the collective, and the power of each of us to behave in a manner that we're proud of and that might make a difference in somebody's life. So I want to thank you.
You're the best. I'm so glad that you and I are friends. We've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
The contributions of your family have been amazing, and we got a lot of things to do in our lives together.
We do. Let's keep our conversation going, because people said that it's great. I really appreciate that everybody says that. And I think it's really important to exhibit people who are from different political parties, how they can be friends, how much they have in common, how their philosophies on so many things are the same. And that's what I always try to emphasize. So we're a great example of that. Thank you so much, John.
Happy New Year.
I'm glad your daughter said that they were proud of you.
Thank you.
Bye. So that is former Governor John Kasich. You can see him on CNN, and you can obviously follow him on Twitter. I want to thank so many of you for joining us today. Once again, Happy New Year. And 2021 is a new year. It's an opportunity for a new beginning. And today is all we have. Today is our present in every way, shape, and form. And we're all changed by what we saw yesterday. We're all changed by what we experienced last year. And we all have an opportunity. We all have an opportunity to use our voices to inform and inspire. We all have an opportunity to use our voices to move our families, our friends forward, just in the way we behave, in the way we behave. I was raised to change the world, and I've now learned that if I can change my world, if I can behave in a way that makes me proud, that's what changes the world. It doesn't have to be Special Olympics. You don't have to run for office. Those things are incredible. But also what's really incredible is some of the things that John Kasich was saying, stopping, seeing, listening, opening your heart, trying again, reaching out to somebody, picking up the phone. These are all small but really big things. And I've been the beneficiary of somebody picking up the phone when I felt really down. And it changed the trajectory of my day. And I would say really also my life. So I like this, Jack saying, JAQ, be proud of how you were raised. Somebody saying that my sons are Special Olympic athletes. Abby, bravo to you. I'm so glad that they are. For all of you who said that they volunteered at Special Olympics, great. Brown Lady said, I love that, inform and inspire. That's what the Sunday paper's mission is. The Sunday paper comes out every Sunday. It's a free newsletter. Its mission is to inform and inspire. Its mission is to rise above the noise. Its mission is to move humanity forward, one story, one person at a time. And I believe that media can be a force for good in the world. That's my version of media. And if you don't get it, I hope maybe in this new year you think about getting it. Somebody saying your parents were incredible people. Yeah, they were. And so all of us only have today. And I want to thank you for spending part of your day with me. And I want to thank John Kasich for spending part of his day with all of us. And I hope there's so many good comments here. And then I know somebody said you should turn off the comments, but I don't know how to do that. So I'm sorry about that. But anyway, have a good day. And remember, go slow. Because when we go slow, we think a little bit more. All right. Bye-bye. Have a great day.